some reaction, and we are going to speak now to the Wits School of Governance. The public policy expert is Dr. TK Pooe, who joins us now. Dr. Pooe, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. How do you characterize this moment in the government of national unity?
Well, I'd say the word disappointing in the sense that, look, from the midterm expenditure, I think when the minister gave the finance speech, it was in October, till the present time, I do not understand how they could not find common understanding or grounds on the budget. So it's not the idea that, oh my word, from SONA they have 2 weeks or something. No, this was from last year, which really should maybe worry us as South Africans, because it means there is a failure to understand the moment that we're in. I think you sort of touched on it. I hear Trump, I hear other things, or President Trump, but the key issue for me is we are in a crisis. We've been in this crisis for the longest time. And the failure of the executive and those, the political elites, we have to say, listen, we have to put together a budget which, one, addresses the core issue that South Africa is not growing, 2, citizens can actually see a hope, and 3, look, the markets can say, look, maybe there's something happening. So the word is disappointing. And then probably the second word is a focus. Reading the unofficial one, I'm still yet to understand what is the focus of this coalition government. You know what, I never call it what they say, there is no GNU. We have a coalition. I don't understand what the focus of this coalition is with regards to getting South Africa out of this crisis. So it's disappointment and lack of focus are the 2 words that come to mind.
Should the South African public, Dr. Pooe, be comforted, though, that as the ANC chief whip seeks to put it here, that what would have been disastrous is if a budget is presented, but there is no agreement in cabinet about this budget, and then we see that playing itself out publicly post the budget being delivered. And I wonder whether this adds flavor to it, the part of what we spoke about with him, and that is that there appears to be a very public disagreement between the Minister of Finance and the SARS Commissioner, particularly around the VAT issue.
Well, look, I think in this context of a coalition, while there are going to be disagreements, I think we should not be, whether it's from the political parties themselves or even different organs of state, I don't think that really should be the key concern. The overriding issue should be, what is the focus? When you are, let's say you are the SARS commissioner, or you are one of the opposition or those that are in the coalition, the key idea should be, what is the line of march? When you all came together in October to give the midterm financial budget, when the president called the State of the Nation, surely there must have been a boss barat to say, listen, for this year, this is the main goal, which is the short term, and for the next 4 years, this is a longer term. So my worry is not that there are disagreements. That is to be expected. It's the nature of how coalitions work the world over. My bigger worry is that from the time that this coalition came to the fore, and I've always said this, I don't know what the focus of this coalition is. So if I don't know this, then sure, and they don't know it, we should expect that things like today are going to happen. But the worrying thing, and I want to just maybe hop on about this, is we are in a state of crisis. Our economy has been in a state of crisis for the last 15 years, but we're acting as though, you know what, every year we find out, oh my word, we're surprised we're in a crisis. And if that's the type of political elites we have in government and amongst political parties, I don't see how we get to a 5% and 6% growth level, which is where South Africa should be, in order for us to truly get to grips with unemployment and actually make sure that we are, as I said, we are supposed to be a middle-income country, but we're not. Yeah. So for me, the bigger worry is there is no focus, and that should be what's worrying South Africans.
Let me crystallize this question, Dr. Pooe, particularly between the finance minister and the SARS commissioner. This is now away from the GNU, so to speak. The best way for me to put this is that I would like to believe that SARS plays a very big role, possibly central, to the budget speech, because they collect revenue on behalf of government, and then government tells us its plans about the spending of that revenue. And so when the SARS commissioner, firstly, is going to differ with the minister, but add to that, the minister in the presidency utters the words, And I'm hoping that the team is going to bring that clip a little later this evening. She utters the words, "When is this one going?" Does that make you feel comfortable around the mechanics of this budget? Or are we making a mountain out of a molehill here?
I think two ways you can look at it. I think the first I've touched on, which is the focus. But on the specific point that you're raising, that an official within government, whether with the express permission of the president, is able to utter these words. Yes, she'll argue that the mic was on, but you should always understand that the mic is on and that you're going to be judged on that. That you're correctly saying, that is worrying. Because we don't get the genesis of, if your worry is simply that somebody who, as you said, the head of SARS is raising a question of revenue. And I think the broader context is he's arguing that, listen, you don't have to raise tax. What you really need to do is invest more in SARS so that we have the technology to go after other areas. If that's what he's arguing for, it sort of makes sense. That's okay. But if I think from what you're asking, if then the next question to say that those who want to say, look, what is this person saying? They have no idea, let's get rid of them. That sounds like, and we shouldn't be surprised, it's a very ANC way of doing things. That when somebody is doing their job, they are the problem because they're not getting in line. So yes, in that regard, we should be worried. But again, it will go back to, if I use an analogy, I envision the SARS commissioner, if you've ever been on the taxi, he's a person who's just simply collecting the money in order to give it to the driver.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the driver knows what the route looks like. So my bigger worry is, yes, what you pointed out is a problem. But the bigger worry is if the taxi driver doesn't know where we're going, us as passengers need to be very worried. So I agree with you. We should be worried about the utterances of the minister and the presidency. That is uncalled for. It is not correct. But we should not lose sight of why we're in this crisis. We're in this crisis because we don't know where we're going. And this coalition government has yet to give us a pathway forward.
Dr. TK Pooe, a public policy expert at the Wits School of Governance. Thank you very much for your time.